Life-changing twist. Hidden millionaire discovers touching story of twins abandoned after mother. Jake stood under the bright fluorescent lights of his family's auto shop, a modest place where all the townsfolk came for their repairs. At 35, he was the town's muscle fixing cars and spreading kindness like confetti. But the signs were undeniable. His once thriving business was gasping for air. As bills piled up, Jake could almost hear his family's legacy whispering to him, "Don't let us down." One fateful afternoon, as he sifted through a dusty storage room filled with relics of forgotten times, his fingers stumbled upon a heavy, worn trunk. Curiosity flowed through him like gasoline. With a deep breath, he pried it open, revealing a treasure trove of yellowed papers. It was then his world exploded. He was an heir to a hidden fortune from a long-lost uncle. But in that sudden rush of exhilaration, a dark cloud loomed. He learned about twins, Lucy and Sam, orphaned after their mother passed away. The thought of those children, lost and alone in a foster care system that seemed to overlook them, sent a shiver down his spine. Jake's heart stirred. The drive to help those kids eclipsed his own fears. Could he bring love and a family to Lucy and Sam? He yearned to be their savior, bridging the gap between his modest mechanic past and this shocking new identity. Yet the rhythm of the town changed as the news spread a millionaire in their midst. Could the humble mechanic truly relate to their struggles? As Jake began to reach out to the twins, his path was littered with setbacks. Each time he attempted to connect, their cold resistance stung like ice in his veins. Instead of hope, he faced uncertainty. Their need for trust clashed against his sudden wealth. He felt their pain, and yet they seemed to see him only as a walking dollar sign. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. In the following weeks, doubt crept in, gnawing at Jake like a raccoon at garbage. Each failed attempt layered an ache onto his heart. Was he just a man with money now, losing the very essence of who he was? The community, once his staunch allies, looked upon him with a subtle, questioning gaze. Had he changed? The moment of greatest impact came when Jake, weary and worn, sat with Lucy and Sam one evening. With tightness in his chest, he bared his soul. "I might not have a lot of money as a mechanic, but I know family means everything. I don't want to lose you like I lost my own. I fear what that feels like." He watched their eyes soften ever so slightly, breaking through the walls of doubt. But as hope flickered, a new crisis emerged, testing Jake and the very fabric of community. Could he unite a place filled with murmurs of distrust? Would the invisible barriers of wealth and doubt prove too thick to dismantle? The path ahead was uncertain, a winding road on the edge of desperation. Would Jake find a way to show that the richest treasure was not money, but the love shared between a family? Days turned into weeks, and the weather mirrored Jake's heart, a mix of storms and the faint promise of sunshine. Convinced that the twins were his path to healing, he pushed himself to try again. Each moment alone gnawed at him, the silence echoing doubts louder than the roar of engines in his shop. Then one afternoon, he thought of an idea, a community event. When the annual summer festival approached, he volunteered the auto shop for a fundraiser barbecue to give back not only to the community, but also to the twins. It was the perfect opportunity to weave them into the fabric of town life, to show them they were loved and needed. Perhaps, just perhaps, they could see him not as a stranger, but as a potential guardian. As the week unfolded, Jake rallied local businesses for donations, grilling supplies, desserts, and even raffle prizes. The townsfolk, once skeptical, began buzzing with newfound interest. They admired Jake's initiative, and he felt invigorated. If he could show everyone his heart, maybe Lucy and Sam could feel safe enough to trust him. But while prepping for the event, a wave of panic washed over him. What if the twins didn't come? What if they were content in their solitary world? Shaking the fear off, he focused on the day ahead. Maybe this was a chance to finally reach them. The day of the festival arrived, with smiles painting the faces of every child and the scent of barbecue dancing in the air. Jake set up a gorgeous spread in the yard outside the shop, decorated with colorful banners and balloons. He watched as families filtered in, laughter ringing through the warm summer air. It filled Jake with hope that maybe, just maybe, a sense of belonging would bloom today. But as the sun reached its peak, he realized that Lucy and Sam were still absent. The empty feeling in his stomach gnawed at him, a reminder of the two children who held his heart. Maybe seeing him in this environment would make a difference. With each passing moment, he resented the doubts creeping in that this effort might be in vain. Then, like a breath of fresh air, he spotted them approaching from down the street, hands intertwined. Their faces held a mix of curiosity and apprehension as they stepped closer, guided by the vibration of community warmth. Jake's heart raced. They looked like lost souls finding their way home. He knelt down to their level, his smile wide and genuine. "Lucy, Sam, I'm so glad you're here. You're just in time for the barbecue. I saved a special place for you." Their eyes widened, absorbing the scene, the laughter, bright colors, and the gentle acceptance swirling around them. There was hesitation in Lucy's gaze, but Sam's curiosity sparked a flicker of hope. Jake directed them to a table filled with kids, welcoming them in. He watched as Lucy hesitated, her shoulders tense. But Sam, always the brave one, tugged her forward, merging with the chatter. For the first time, Jake sensed a shift. Could this be the moment of connection he had longed for? As the barbecue unfolded, connections formed and laughter erupted, the spark of unity brightening his spirit. But as joy permeated the air, a dark shadow loomed on the horizon. A familiar figure from the past emerged, a man from the city, wearing the signature suit of someone who could disrupt everything Jake hoped to build.
What did he want?
Jake felt his stomach twist with anxiety. Could this newcomer threaten the fragile bond he had just begun to nurture with Lucy and Sam? As the figure drew closer, Jake's heart pounded louder in his chest, a reminder of how far he was willing to fight for the new family he desperately craved. What unseen battles lay ahead? The question hung thick in the air, echoing with promise and fear. The man moved steadily through the cheerful crowd, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement, jolting Jake from his daze. Dressed in a sharp dark suit, the newcomer stood out like a storm cloud on a bright day. Jake's instincts kicked in, sensing that something about this individual could shatter the fragile joy he'd built around Lucy and Sam. "Jake Turner," he said, his voice deep and smooth as he approached. "Nice to see you've gathered so many people. Quite the little event you've got here." Jake offered a tight smile, unsure of the man's motives. "Thanks, it's all for the community. Trying to give back a little." "Ah yes, your big heart," the man replied, squinting slightly as if assessing Jake rather than the event. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Michael Hayes." The name rang a bell, a whisper of recognition fluttering around in Jake's mind like a moth drawn to a flame. Michael Hayes was known in their small town, a wealthy businessman. But not just any businessman, he had a reputation for making things happen, for being able to sway opinions and decisions with just a signature. "I didn't expect you here," Jake finally managed. "What brings you to our little barbecue?" Michael grinned, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "I've been looking into a few projects in town. It's important to me to understand the community I work in." His gaze shifted past Jake, scanning the gathering, before settling back on him. "And the twins, I hear you've taken an interest in them." Jake's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Oh, just what I've heard around town." There was a calculating look in his eyes. "Two vulnerable kids, a single man stepping up. That's quite a story, isn't it? Makes for good PR." "It's not about public relations. It's about giving them a home, a family," Jake defended, his voice stronger than he felt. He took a deep breath to steady his racing heart, feeling more protective than ever of Lucy and Sam. Michael held up his hands in mock surrender. "I didn't mean to offend. But I do know that there are systems people watching, especially with children involved. And you Jake, you must know how tough it can be. The weight of Michael's words bore down on him like a heavy blanket, suffocating. Jake glanced over Michael's shoulder toward Lucy and Sam, who were now sitting with a group of kids, laughter spilling from their little mouths. For a moment, hope bloomed in his chest, but fear quickly snuffed it out. "Don't let anyone rush you," Michael continued, stepping closer in a conspiratorial manner. "If there's anything I can do to help, I might have connections in addition to the financial backing you could need." Jake's fists clenched at his sides. What could that mean for the twins? What strings came attached to such offers? "I'll think about it," he finally said, forcing himself to keep his tone civil, even as the tension simmered between them. Michael smiled, a mix of charm and something darker lurking behind it. "Just remember, Jake, the world isn't as simple as it seems. Sometimes a little help can lead to big opportunities or big trouble." With that cryptic statement, he turned to disappear back into the crowd, leaving Jake wrestling with uncertainty and unease. Trying to push the encounter from his mind, Jake forced a smile, determined to focus on Lucy and Sam, who were still engaging with their new friends. But as he surveyed the joyful scene around him, anxiety twisted in his gut. What did Michael know? Would he use that knowledge to try and take Lucy and Sam away? The dark corners of Jake's mind spun wild with fear. He had tasted the sweetness of connection, the warmth of family nearby, and he was not about to let it slip away. Would Jake be ready to confront whatever was coming for his new family? The question lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon, an omen of battles that were yet to come. Jake's heart raced as he tried to shake off the weight of Michael's unsettling words. He forced himself to turn back to the festivities, where the laughter of Lucy and Sam was like a balm to his frayed nerves. They were playing a little game of tag, hair flying and cheeks flushed with excitement. But even their giggles couldn't cut through the tightness in his chest. He couldn't help but glance around, eyes darting through the cheerful crowd, half expecting to see Michael hovering like a hawk, waiting for the right moment to swoop in. What was he planning? Did he really have connections, or was that just a ploy to worm his way into their lives? A group of parents hovered over a grill, chatting and flipping burgers, their laughter mingling with the soft country music flowing from a nearby speaker. But Jake felt detached, like a ghost wandering through a world of joy while he was weighed down by unseen chains. "Uncle Jake," Sam called out, his bright eyes sparkling. "Come play. We need someone to be it." Snap back to reality. Jake forced a smile, ruffling Sam's hair. "All right, but just for a few minutes. I've got to keep an eye on our little athletes." As he chased the kids, laughter came easier, and for a moment, it felt like the worries of the world had faded away. The thrill of the game, the innocence of their joy, it was enough to remind him why he had fought so hard to bring Lucy and Sam into his life. They were deserving of this, of every smile and carefree moment, but a shadow lingered in the back of his mind, a constant whisper from the corner of doubt. What was Michael's real agenda? After a few games, Jake took a break, shifting to the sidelines, his eyes resting on Lucy as she spun in circles, lost in her own delight. She caught his gaze and waved, her face brightening like a beacon illuminating the dark corners of his thoughts. "Hey, can we have a sleepover soon?" she called out, breathless with excitement. "Of course. Just me and my favorite two troublemakers," he replied, trying to mask the tension in his voice with humor. But the weight remained, pressing down harder as he tried to imagine sleepless nights and late-night giggles. Would it even be possible if someone like Michael could swoop in and pull them away? As twilight settled over the event, the sky deepened into shades of orange and pink, a sunset splendid in its fleeting beauty. The crowd began to thin, families gathering their things. While light laughter still floated in the air, suddenly, he caught sight of Michael again, but this time standing with a couple of other important-looking figures near a food truck. They were laughing, but Jake's senses screamed that it was all a facade, an act clouding their real intentions. He felt a surge of protective instinct, a need to shield Lucy and Sam from whatever a man like that could bring into their lives. If he wanted to keep his family safe, he might have to confront Michael again. Jake moved to find Lucy and Sam. Determination grew inside him. He wouldn't let fear dictate his life or rob the kids of their innocence. That much he knew. The world isn't as simple as it seems, Michael had said, but Jake was ready to prove him wrong. He had something worth fighting for. "What are you going to do, Jake?" he whispered to himself, the weight of the question heavy. As the last of the light faded and the stars began to twinkle, a sense of resolve formed within. He felt like he was standing on the edge of something dangerous, the air thick with tension. Would he have the courage to face Michael again? What would happen if he did? The night swirled quietly around him, and with it, the anticipation of the storm looming ahead. Jake scanned the gathering as the sunset dimmed, feeling the energy of the event gradually fade around him. Lucy and Sam had darted off to join a group of their friends near the swings, their laughter ringing out like wind chimes in an autumn breeze. A small part of him longed to join them, to immerse himself in their world of pretend castles and heroic quests. But another part of him was gripped by an urgency that could not be ignored. He spotted Michael again, now standing with those important-looking figures, gesturing animatedly. Jake's heart thudded in his chest. It felt like he was watching a movie he wanted to turn off but couldn't see the plot was drawing him in, though fear gnawed at his resolve. As he began to step closer, his mind raced with questions. What did Michael want from him? What was his angle? With each stride, the bustling noise of the party faded until it was just a distant hum. It was just him and that small crowd. A breath caught in his throat as he approached, ready to confront the man who had already begun to shadow their slice of happiness. "Jake." Michael turned, his expression brightening. "We were just talking about you." Jake forced a smile that felt more like a mask. "Yeah? Not sure that that's a good thing." Michael chuckled, but there was a sharpness lurking beneath his amusement, a predator's glee. "You know, it's all about connections. You and we could make a great team." Jake crossed his arms, leaning into the challenge. "What kind of team?" The question hung in the air like a challenge thrown down. Michael glanced at his companions, then back at Jake, a self-satisfied glint in his eye. "Let us just say I know people who appreciate talent and know how to make things happen. Those kids, you're so fond of their opportunity there." The firelight danced in Jake's eyes, lighting up the growing rage within him. "Those are my kids, Michael. You don't get to use them for your schemes." Michael raised an eyebrow, the amusement fading. "You think you can protect them from everything? The world outside isn't as safe as you'd like to believe." "I'm trying to help now." Jake cut him off. "You're only trying to help yourself." He took a step forward, looking Michael straight in the eye. "Whatever game you're playing, it ends here." Michael's smirk returned, but there was something darker behind it. "You have no idea what you're up against, Jake. You think this is all about you? Your little idyllic life?" He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "I have resources that could change everything for you if only you'd know how to embrace the truth." The weight of his words sank into Jake like stones in a river. He felt the ground shift beneath him, exposure to a reality he wasn't ready to face. What was lurking behind that smile? What power did Michael really hold? "Stay away from my family," Jake said, his voice steady despite the fear creeping in. Michael laughed softly, shaking his head as he began to back away. "You'll reconsider, Jake. You'll see. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning." With that, he turned, sauntering back to his group, leaving Jake standing alone, the tension simmering like a pot about to boil over. Suddenly, a small hand slipped into his, and he looked down to see Lucy, her innocent eyes filled with concern. "Uncle Jake? What's wrong?" The moment hung between them like a fragile thread. Jake knelt beside her, squeezing her hand tighter, trying to shield her from the storm brewing within him. "Nothing, sweet pea. Just grown-up stuff. Can we get ice cream?" Sam chimed in from behind Lucy, his excitement cutting through the heaviness. Jake glanced back at the laughter still echoing around them and forced himself to smile. "Ice cream sounds perfect." He stood up with renewed energy, taking in the sight of the kids, their innocence, their joy. He couldn't let Michael's shadow interfere. As they walked toward the food truck, Jake wrestled with a knot of dread in his stomach. He had no idea how deep Michael's connections ran, how serious the threat really was. Would he need to delve into the darkness to protect Lucy and
Sam?
what would happen if he refused to play Michael's game? Uncle Jake? You okay? Lucy's voice pulled him back to the moment. He smiled, though it felt a little strained. Yeah, I'm okay. Just a lot on my mind. They stepped up to the food truck, the sweet smell of waffle cones wafting through the air. But as he watched Sam and Lucy light up over their choices, a bitter truth settled heavily over him. Was this happiness really as enduring as he hoped? Would the darkness of the world outside break through? Jake drew in a steadying breath. He had to find answers, not just for himself, but for the kids he loved more than anything. He had to learn about Michael's world, and quickly. As the trio walked away, laughter resonating back to him, Jake felt the stakes rise. He wasn't just a guardian anymore. He was a soldier on the front lines, and the battle was far from over. But how was he going to protect them when he didn't even know what threat was coming? The ice cream truck was a small oasis of color against the evening backdrop. Jake watched as Lucy and Sam eagerly chose their flavors, each scoop brightening their faces. But the sweetness of the moment was bitter on his tongue. He wanted to carry their laughter like a shield against the uncertainty threatening to invade. He glanced over his shoulder, half expecting to see Michael lurking in the shadows. With their cones in hand, Jake forced himself to immerse in the moment, watching as the kids took exaggerated licks, their faces smeared with melting ice cream. Sam was busy negotiating with Lucy over the merits of chocolate versus vanilla. You have to try both, he insisted, waving his hands animatedly. Lucy rolled her eyes, a smile tugging at her lips. It's ice cream, not an experiment, Sam. The innocence of their banter momentarily grounding Jake. But as he laughed along with them, he couldn't shake the feeling that their laughter was precarious. He should have felt joy, but in the pit of his stomach was a knot pulling him back to the worry, the uncertainty that Michael had infused into the air. Uncle Jake? Lucy's voice cut through his thoughts again, her bright eyes focused on him with an intensity that made his heart skip. Why are you not eating ice cream? He grinned, forcing the tension to recede. I'm just enjoying watching you two. Let me have a taste of that vanilla. Jake leaned down, and she giggled as he did his best to steal a lick, his tongue playfully darting out to taste her cone, catching her off guard.
Hey, gotcha.
The weight of the world lifted ever so slightly with laughter. But as the kids gave in to giggles, Jake's mind flickered back to Michael's words. Opportunity, talent, if only they could know the dangers that glinted beneath the surface of those enticing offers. Sam suddenly turned serious, brow furrowed. Uncle Jake, are we gonna go home soon? Is everything okay? Jake felt his heart twist. The boy never missed a beat. Yeah, buddy. Just enjoying the sunset, remember? He knew they sensed the changes in him, the shadows that hung like storm clouds. We'll go home soon, he added, hoping to reassure them. Then why are you looking so tense? Lucy asked, her earnestness striking a chord inside him. Jake took a deep breath, swallowing down the fear. Just thinking. As they finished their ice cream, Jake's phone vibrated in his pocket. A number he didn't recognize flashed on the screen. Maybe it was a wrong number, or maybe it was something more sinister. With a moment's hesitation, he pulled it out. Who is it? Lucy asked, her innocent curiosity reminding him of their playful banter just moments before. Just a business call, he replied, glancing at the words on the screen. A chill ran down his spine as he pressed the answer button. Hello? Jake, I need to talk to you. It's about Michael. The voice was gruff, laced with urgency. Jake's breath hitched. Who is this? He demanded, suddenly alert. It's someone who has been keeping tabs on him. You need to meet me. Tonight, the voice instructed, urgency weighing in each word. Jake's heart raced. Why should I trust you? Because Michael's plans are bigger than you think. And I can show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. You can't protect your family unless you understand what's coming. An icy wave of fear washed over Jake, threatening to pull him under. Turning back to the kids, he forced his voice to stay steady. I need to take this call. Just a minute. Okay, Sam said, concern flooding his voice. Jake walked a few steps away, his heart pounded against his chest. He glanced at the sunset. Vibrant reds and purples swirled above, a stark contrast to the dark reality unfolding around him. Michael was a threat, a storm forming on the horizon, and Jake was running out of time to confront it. The question hung in the air. Should he follow the voice's lead and uncover the truth, risking everything to protect Lucy and Sam? But as that thought clouded his mind, a profound realization stung him. Perhaps, to save them, he would need to face the darkness head-on no matter what. With that resolve building inside him, he took a deep breath, steeling himself to learn the truth, but at what cost to his family's innocence? Jake stood rooted for a moment, his thoughts swirling like the vibrant colors of the sunset. The carefree laughter of Lucy and Sam echoed in his mind, but it clashed with the reality of the threat he felt looming over them. He turned back toward the kids, gathered in their own world of ice cream and innocent debates. Their joy was a fragile thing. He needed to protect it. "Uncle Jake, are you coming back?" Sam's voice was a tether, pulling him from his worries. "Yeah, buddy." "Sorry," he called out, forcing a smile as he stepped back toward them, the phone still pressed against his ear. His grip tightened, uncertainty pricking at him. The urge to just ignore the call was strong. But Michael wasn't he going away, and the world wasn't he going to let him hide behind laughter forever. He knew that. The harsh reality was creeping in, and he had to confront it, if only to shield Lucy and Sam from whatever storm was brewing. "Uncle Jake?" Lucy's voice was soft but steady, a beacon in the chaos. "What was that about?" "Just some work stuff," he replied, kneeling to their level. "It's all good." He didn't want to worry them more than they already were, but the anxiety he felt seeped through his smile. Lucy nodded, but didn't he look convinced? Her bright eyes searched his face, and for a moment, Jake could see the shadows of concern mirrored back at him. He couldn't bear to darken their spirits further. He racked his brain for a distraction. "How about we head over to the playground? You two can show me who can swing the highest." "Yeah, come on, Uncle Jake," Sam shouted, his earlier seriousness replaced with excitement. The unexpected cheerfulness lifted Jake's spirits slightly, reminding him why he fought so hard to keep his family safe. They rushed ahead, their laughter ringing through the air like music. But as Jake followed, a knot tightened in his chest. The call was still on his mind, the ominous words echoing back to him. He had promised to meet this stranger tonight. Could he afford the risk? The thought of leaving the kids even for a second made his stomach twist. The playground was alive with laughter and shouts, a playground safe for children, not a jumble of shadows and threats. They climbed onto the swings, their faces alight with determination to see who could soar higher. Even as Jake pushed them higher, he could feel the weight of the evening pressing down. Each push pulled him closer to the crossroads of his decision. "Lucy, Sam, you both are the best," he cheered, watching their joy unfold against the gathering dusk. Yet somewhere deep inside, he wrestled with the phone sitting in his pocket. After a few moments of play, Jake took a breath. "Hey kids, how about we take a quick break?" he said, and they threw him curious glances. Jake sat down on the edge of the sandbox, trying to collect his thoughts as they wriggled their toes in the sand. "Is everything okay, Uncle Jake?" Sam asked softly, a concerned frown creasing his forehead. "Yeah, everything will be okay," he said, but the words felt hollow. His heart wouldn't let go of the heaviness. Suddenly, the phone buzzed again, jolting him back into reality. He fished it out, staring at the unknown number once more. Lucy and Sam were still chatting, blissfully unaware of the storm on the horizon. With a shaky breath, he stood, turning away from the kids for just a moment. If he wanted to fight for their safety, he would need to confront the darkness directly. "Uncle Jake, what's wrong?" Lucy's voice cut through him unexpectedly. "Just figuring some things out, sweetheart." But as he prepared to call back the mysterious voice, a terrifying thought crept in. What if he was too late? What if Michael was already coming for them? The question lingered like a ghost, and even though the kids were safe for now, he couldn't shake the impending feeling that time was slipping away. Tonight, he would step into the unknown. He would grasp the shadowy tendrils of truth, but at what cost? As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the world with eerie twilight. Jake felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Somewhere out there, Michael was waiting, and the confrontation ahead promised to change everything. Would Jake be ready for what he would uncover? Would he find the strength to protect the ones he loved? Jake's heart raced as he wrestled with the phone in his pocket. The laughter of Lucy and Sam faded into the background, becoming an echo in his mind while his focus shifted to the looming threat he sensed. A chill crept down his spine as he glanced over his shoulder, half expecting to see Michael approaching, ready to shatter their world. "Uncle Jake, come push me higher." Sam's voice broke through his panic, a sudden burst of pure joy that held the essence of childhood innocence.
Right.
On it. Jake forced a smile, stepping back to the swings. Sam's joy was contagious, but it didn't ease the tightening in Jake's chest. He placed his hands on Sam's small waist, pushing him higher into the twilight sky. He watched Lucy clap and cheer, her face radiant with excitement. For a fleeting moment, he let himself believe that everything was fine. But reality clawed back, reminding him that he was on borrowed time. After a few more pushes, Jake motioned for them to hop off the swings. "Okay, let us have a snack break," he said, hoping the lightheartedness would last, if only for a little while longer. As they settled down on the grass, digging into the snacks he'd packed, Jake's phone vibrated again. The anxiety gnawed at him, demanding he address what he was trying so hard to ignore. He looked at Lucy, her mouth full of peanut butter sandwich, blissfully happy. Sam was busy showing her a bug he'd caught, both of them wrapped in their bubble of childhood. "Everything okay, Uncle Jake?" Lucy spoke up, her eyes wide and full of concern. "Yeah, just thinking about some stuff," he replied, forcing his attention back to the kids as he slid the phone deeper into his pocket. He didn't want their fun to turn into worry. The night air was cooling as the sun vanished completely, replaced by a canvas of stars. It felt as if the universe was shifting, each star like a watchful eye ready to uncover secrets hidden in shadows. Jake's insides twisted. The conversation he had been avoiding was beckoning him, dark and mysterious. "Let us take a walk over by the trees," Lucy suggested, bouncing on her heels, childlike wonder radiating from her. Sam nodded eagerly, and without waiting, they darted toward the nearby stand of trees, their laughter trailing like fireflies in the night. "Wait up," Jake called, but he felt a heaviness in his feet, as though the weight of the unknown anchored him down. He caught up to the kids, who were peering through the branches at the dark, sprawling yard beyond. "What do you see?" he asked, pretending to share in their excitement, yet his mind raced ahead. What secrets lurked beyond those trees? What awaited him when he finally picked up that call? Suddenly, a gust of wind rattled through the leaves, and Lucy grabbed Sam's hand tightly. "Did you feel that? It's like something's coming," she whispered, her wide eyes reflecting the starlight. Jake felt a rush of fear mingle with protectiveness. "It's just the wind. We're okay," he assured her, forcing calmness into his voice. But the truth gnawed at him. Michael was out there, and they were vulnerable. "Can we go back to the playground?" Sam asked, voice shaking slightly. Jake nodded, masking the unease swelling inside him. As they made their way back, he felt a strange energy crackling in the air, the kind that always preceded a storm. Once back at the swings, he could see the distant rooftops of their neighborhood against the dark sky, including their own, a comforting sight, yet it felt more ominous than ever. Jake took a deep breath, squeezed the swing chains, and steeled himself. He knew he couldn't hide from his fears, or let them overshadow his family's happiness. It was time to confront Michael, time to uncover the truth of what he wanted. Standing in the glow of the dimming playground lights, with Lucy and Sam beside him, Jake felt the strength grow in his chest. He could protect them. He had to. But with every decision, there were risks. The phone buzzed once more, Michael's name glaring back at him like a warning. Tonight would change everything. Would he finally learn the truth, or would his choice to confront the danger only serve to draw it closer? A hesitant breath escaped him as he waited for the call to end. The decision loomed heavy, and Jake knew there would be no turning back. What would his next move be? And would it lead them to safety or uncertainty? Jake's heart was thudding loud enough that he was afraid Lucy and Sam might hear it. The phone's screen illuminated his face in the darkness, casting shadows that danced with uncertainty. He could feel Michael's presence like a storm brewing on the horizon, that impending sense of dread mingled with a desperate need to protect the two innocent lives before him. Uncle Jake? Lucy's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. Are you coming back to play? He forced a smile, shaking off the weight of the moment. Sure. Just needed a second. Deep breaths. He could do this. As the children resumed their carefree play, Jake's mind raced. Confronting Michael felt like stepping into a fight without knowing if he'd come out alive. Would saying something make it all worse? Or would it finally bring the closure he had been chasing? Sam's laughter rang out, and for a moment, it intertwined with the night air, making Jake forget the ferocity of his worries. He joined them, pushing Sam on the swing again, each push a shaky promise. I will protect you. But when the swing came to a halt, Jake sensed the weight of his choice pressing down more heavily on him. So, guys, why don't we head home? Jake suggested, desperate to steer the mood in a safer direction. Just a few more minutes. Lucy pleaded, pouting slightly, a reminder of how easy it was to get lost in the simplicity of childhood joy. Please, Uncle Jake? Sam joined in, his eyes wide with hope. Fighting it felt like an uphill battle. But a dad could only deny precious moments with loved ones so often before something in him broke. All right, he relented, knowing it might be his last moment of peace before reality shattered their calm. They spent the next few minutes engaged in a game of tag that had them darting around the playground, shrieks of joy piercing the quiet night. For a few moments longer, Jake allowed himself to forget. In those fleeting seconds, he could breathe, less burdened by fear. But as they neared the end of the game, Jake's phone buzzed again, vibrating intensely like a warning siren against his thigh. Instinctively, he halted in his tracks. The laughter faded and Lucy and Sam turned to face him, curiosity dancing in their expressions. Uncle Jake? Lucy asked softly, concern creeping into her voice. Jake glanced at the phone, then back at the kids, the battle raging within him. It's just work, he lied, knowing it sounded hollow even to his own ears. Can I see? Sam asked innocently, taking a step closer. That was all it took. Everything inside Jake shifted. He felt exposed. Maybe later, Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. Let us just go home, okay? Lucy nodded, but there was a glimmer of doubt in her eyes. They began to walk back, footsteps echoing softly against the gravel path. The air thickened, not just with the darkened sky, but with an imminent confrontation he couldn't escape any longer. Reaching their car, Jake took one last look at the playground before climbing in. He fastened the seatbelt, his hands trembling as he faced the phone in his pocket. One call could change everything, but at what cost? Uncle Jake? Lucy's voice was small now. Are you coming home? With every ounce of courage, he pulled out the phone, his heart pounding as he selected the name he had come to dread. The decision felt monumental, the stakes rising with each second. He could stall, keep avoiding it, but the thought of Michael and the mess he could create weighed heavily. I'm calling him, Jake said, determination stealing his voice. Lucy held Sam's hand tightly, both kids staring wide-eyed at him. Be safe, Uncle Jake, Lucy whispered. With a deep breath, he pressed the call button, the screen lighting up Michael's name staring back like a looming shadow. As the ringing tone filled the air, uncertain thoughts swirled through Jake's mind. What if the truth he discovered turned everything upside down? Or worse, what if he found out there were no easy answers after all? The call connected, and yet as the voice on the other end began to speak, Jake felt the ground shift beneath him, thrusting him into an unpredictable future. What revelation lay on the other side of this call? He held on tight, preparing for whatever storm was about to hit. The world around Jake dissolved, replaced by the voice on the other end of the line. Jake? It's Billy. You called me about Michael. Just hearing that name sent a rush of tension through him. Something deep inside flickered a mix of anxiety and determination. Yeah, what do you know? You don't have the full picture. If you think he is just a businessman wanting to help, you're wrong. His interests are dangerous. Jake swallowed hard. Dangerous?
How?
I can't explain everything over the phone. Meet me tonight, there's more at stake than just you and those kids. As panic surged in him like a cold tide, Jake's heart raced. He could see Lucy and Sam still nestled in the back seat, playing with their ice cream sticks, their laughter like a soothing balm against the chaos encroaching on their lives. He knew he couldn't brush this off.
Fine.
Where? East of the old mill, near the old railway tracks. It's not safe in town anymore.
Got it.
Hanging up, Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Gritting his teeth, he turned around to face Lucy and Sam, who were oblivious to his turmoil. This was the moment he had dreaded, but also the moment he needed. Hey, kids, how about we stop for Uncle Jake's voice trailed off as he looked at their eager faces. Their world was still bright. Ice cream dripped from their fingers. Laughter sparkled in their eyes. The truth felt heavier to bear, while trying to protect that innocence. For a quick stop at the ice cream shop. Just a little treat before we head home? His voice came out brighter than he felt.
Yay.
Sam cheered, bouncing in his seat. While Jake pulled into the ice cream shop parking lot, thoughts spiraled. Was this a fight worth engaging in? What were the dangers he was heading towards? But as he looked back to Lucy and Sam giggling, a flicker of resolve ignited. They were everything worth fighting for. After getting them their treat, Jake drove towards the mill. The darkness crept in around them, the kind that filled spaces with ominous whispers. He parked, heart thumping against his chest. As he stepped outside, he took a moment, grounding himself in this wild storm of emotions swirling around. He couldn't let fear snatch away the love he was building with Lucy and Sam. They needed him to be brave, steadfast. With each step, the darkness swallowed him deeper. The air crackled with tension. Against the backdrop of the moonlit sky, Jake spotted a shadowy figure standing by a crumbling brick wall. It was Billy. Thanks for coming. The urgency was evident in his voice. We don't have much time. What's going on? Jake demanded, anger flashing through him. What's Michael's endgame? Michael has a plan involving the twins' child endangerment. He aims to exploit their situation for his gain. You need to understand, this isn't just about local business, it's about something much bigger. Jake clenched his jaw, fear morphing into indignation. What do you mean? His contacts run deep, everyone from city officials to people who wouldn't think twice about tearing families apart to claim the wealth of the orphaned. Over my dead body, Jake snapped, fierce protectiveness rising up in him. I won't let him get near them. Billy held up a hand. I know you're sharp, Jake. But he's not going to play fair. We must get evidence against him. It's the only way to keep Lucy and Sam safe. Evidence?
Yes.
I've got something, files, emails, proof of his arrangements. You can't take this lightly. In the depths of his heart, Jake felt a chill but also a surge of determination. Let us do it. For Lucy and Sam. As their mission unfolded, every moment felt electric. Jake moved from fear to outrage as bits of Michael's wrongdoing tangled deeper with his resolve. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was a champion warrior, a father. Diving into conversations, making plans, Jake remained on high alert. Every glance around him felt charged, a secret but palpable intensity looming without interruption. In the midst of the impending chaos, he momentarily stole a look at the darkened horizon. But then something in the distance caught his eye.
A
shadow moved in the darkness, unmistakably familiar. Billy's voice cut through him, urgent again. Michael. Jake's voice dropped into a growl. They crouched behind the wall, breath held. The sound of footsteps slithered closer, proximity causing Jake's heart to beat wildly. There he is, Billy whispered, the seriousness settling heavily. Jake's fists clenched. This was where it all would change. Would he take a stand? Would he protect what was rightfully his? The answer crystallized, fortifying him. When Michael came into view, Jake's resolve burned brighter than the shadows, a relentless fire fueled by love. Your game ends here, he thought, adrenaline surging through his veins. Michael wouldn't he win? Not while Lucy and Sam were in the picture. He was ready for battle. Then, like a divine spark, hope laced through his anger. Maybe this whole fight could forge something greater. Maybe love could overcome the darkest of threats. When it's all said and done, I'll fight for my family, Jake whispered, feeling the weightlessness of strength wrap around him. As the confrontation loomed ahead, he centered himself. He was a mechanic, a protector, a father. And against a storm, he stood firm, ready to face whatever came next to ensure their future would not be stolen away in the shadows. With faith lighting the way and love as his armor, Jake readied himself for the final showdown, knowing deep down that even in darkness, hope could blaze bright. Now, the moment has come for you too, to make a change. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Every click makes a huge difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this thrilling ending. Let us hear the community's voice. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support means the world to us and helps us create even more incredible stories.